Hi, it's Barkley and Corwhin, and I am doing more computer stuff. I have a lot of stuff that I need to figure out before the season gets going. Last video talked about planning about reconfiguring where I'm going to grow in my crop rotation plan. So right now I'm trying to figure out ultimately what I'm going to charge for a share for at least the weekly rate anyways for those that are coming for the CSA or farm share. So in order to do that, I need to figure out, I need to make a budget. So I need to figure out what my potential income is going to be and what my potential expenses are going to be. So I'm trying to be as realistic as I can, looking at what I spent on last year and trying to remember, this has been the hardest part, trying to remember what it is that I said to myself, if only I had this, or if only I hadn't bought this, and adding it in and trying to make a budget that, is realistic of what I think I'm going to spend and also what I'm going to invest into for the business. So this has been a process about, most of the month anyways, just trying to replay back in my mind and going back through all the lists. And I use Excel. I don't use QuickBooks or anything like that. Looking at my expenses, looking at my income, looking at graphs, looking at where I went wrong with my budget last year compared to how things came out. And that's something I'll talk about a little bit. More or less, I'm going to have those expenses I have every year, and I'm going to have some other expenses I'm going to either have to replace equipment or I'm going to have to make investments. And I have to decide on that group right there of what I'm going to buy if I can figure that out. You just don't know what the season's going to be. It could be a wet season and I could have to buy another pump to get the gardens from the flooding out of the gardens. It could be another dry year and my irrigation lines could be not enough and I could be just throwing the towel and go back to what I see a lot of middle-sized market gardeners use is these wands or stands that are about this tall off the ground. You connect them by hose and they just act like some kind of a sprinkler system of sorts. Um, and that's different, but that's not how I was told to do market gardening, but I've seen a lot of people do that. So there's a lot of things I'm trying to figure out right now within reason. So one thing I'm trying to figure out is where I went wrong in 2025. In 2025, I ended up in the red, not in the black. So that was quite disappointing as I thought I was going to have a good year. The budget that I had come up with showed that I was going to make money. I did not plan for consumer behavior changing. I don't think anyone in farmers markets or market gardening or any small business thought that this trade war or the whole tariffs and the threats that are going around would change consumer behavior. Buying local really changed. A lot of people just either didn't have the disposable income or didn't want to use it. Not saying everyone did, but it was a significant change from those who I talked to and looking at my own numbers. So I had a drop in customers, and that's something I wasn't expecting. And then there was a number of expenses that I had to take on. I had to take on almost twice as many expenses as I thought I would. Um, Such as we had a store that's in Canada here called PB Mart, which basically supplies to farms and rural peoples different things, whether it's hunting, whether it's work clothes, whether it's shovels and rakes. Um, I was going to buy over the next couple of years, I was going to space out and buy some fencing, but because they were closing all across Canada, I had to buy all the fencing I needed because I don't know where I'm going to get any of that stuff from, and I don't know where to get my other supplies from that I usually get from them as well. We don't really have that down here in the south end of Walton County. A lot of stores that cater to rural and farm peoples because we're surrounded so much by towns and cities. I would probably have to go over an hour just to find something that I needed, and it wouldn't be kind of a one-stop shop. It might be a little bit here, a little bit there. So that's something I had to do. I also bought this shear. Shear you could turn the head compared to the handle and work like a scissor the way you wanted it to. So I could hold it this way and it would cut this way. I'd seen them before, but I didn't know that they were going to be in Home Depot. And that was great expense I had to make. Paper pot trays, I know I budgeted to get a paper pot planter, but a friend had told me about a bunch of market gardeners who are getting together and ordering a group order of paper pot trays from overseas, and it would be much cheaper if I went in on that. So I did that. That wasn't something I budgeted for, but that's something hopefully I don't have to do for another 5-6 years. Trowels, for some reason, was missing trowels, so I had to buy more trowels. My canopy, my 10 by 10 foot canopy that I used to use for farmers markets, but now I use it on outdoors, prepping my salads and other leafy greens. That got taken by the wind and wrecked. It's just hollow tubed aluminum, so it's as soon as it's bent, it's useless. So that I had to buy more of that. Tomato cages, like I said before, I planted more than ever planted, and I had to keep going back to a garden center and buying more tomato cages because I just didn't have enough. And there were some that were ruined the season before, and I haven't gotten around to get them welded. And another expense that I didn't budget for was a 10 cubic foot wheelbarrow. So that's something I needed. It'll be useful in the future. So I'm working on the budget. There will be things that I do need, such as I'm gonna need strawberries, honey, maple syrup, jam, salad dressing, sweet corn, all those things for the CSA. Those are things that I don't grow, I don't produce, so I buy them from other producers and other farmers, and I add them in so that my customers can have that and they don't have to go to a second location to get food like that. And then there's, always replacing tools like a shovel. I've gotten smart, and I have a line in my budget for wheel repair. I'm always busting a wheel, whether it's on my harvest cart or whether it's on one of the wheelbarrows. There's always a wheel that happens to bust. Some of the things that I'd like to make investments in are new this year. 2 fridge finders, one for each of the fridges I have. These are Australian contraption. They take the chemical that's given off by some of the vegetables and fruit that you have in your fridge that speeds up the degradation of other fruits, and it filters that out. So it's supposed to make everything that's in your fridge that's fruit or vegetable or mushroom last longer. So that's something I think would be a long investment for. I'm going to need another landscape fabric roll as I'm going to be redoing the gardens. I can't use all of the 3-foot wide sections that I've made over the years, so I'm gonna try, but I just don't think everything's gonna work out. So I'm gonna have that as a backup and try to grow as much crops in one area as I can. I need a new salad spinner. The salad spinner I have had it for probably 6-7 years. The gears on it are starting to go and they're slipping a lot. And one thing about getting salad or leafy greens ready is you need to have the moisture off the leaves when you bag it, or elsewise that moisture is trapped in there and things aren't going to go well. My big expense I'm looking at is a TerraTech weeder. This is a push weeder, 2-wheeled weeder, and you can put different weeding attachments on it. This is going to be something that's going to cost a fair bit, but I really have to reduce and spend less time weeding. I have to use my time a lot more wisely and do things a lot more quickly. So I think that if I can figure out how all the attachments work for me, I think this weeder is going to be a game changer. One thing I didn't know about last year to put on the budget, but I'm going to put it on this year. The City of Guelph's Farmers Market, they have started doing a Meet the CSA Day. So a bunch of different CSA or farm share market gardens come out, and we have our booths, we have our displays, and we basically try to sell ourselves to potential customers. I think I got 2 customers last year off that, and that's 2 customers I didn't have before. So they want to do it on a morning instead of a evening, which as someone who works in hospitality, that's gonna be a little different, but I'll figure things out. And another thing for the budget, and you've got to realize that a budget, you have to follow. It's just not a piece of paper, and that's why I'm trying to make things as real as possible. Is another thing I'm doing is reducing the amount of seed that I'm ordering, and seed prices have gone up. In some cases, they've doubled. I had to make an order about $150 for just to get the order shipped, or else it wouldn't be shipped. I ordered $151 worth of stuff, and I had 4 packets come in, and I think the tomato seeds were the worst, or the most expensive part of it. I think the seeds are about 40 cents a seed. Because of that, I either have to reduce my expenses or I have to increase the price of everything, or do both. So I'm trying to cut back on seeds that I've ordered to seeds, the plants that I will grow. So we'll see how that works out. Ultimately, I'm going to have to raise the price of what a share box is each week. I did have a sticky note here somewhere. There it is. Going over my competitors' prices in Walton County and looking at the different ones of them. I was actually on the lower half of the prices. Not everyone has put out their prices for 2026 yet, so I don't know how much they're increasing it. I don't know how much their cost production is changing, because everything is not getting any cheaper. So I don't know how to compare that, but I just know, looking at all the numbers, crunching and all, making it as real as possible, I'm going to have to increase my cost. And that's one thing that I have tried not to do, and I think that's bit me in the ass, but I've tried not to do because I don't want to be, exclusive just for, high-end people. I want to be able to feed anyone and everyone's family if they're into fresh vegetables and cooking and eating right off the farm. So I want to do that, but unfortunately, I have to think about the business wise, and I'm going to have to increase my price. So it is unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the beast. And I don't think I'm alone with the way the economy is going right now. And once I get that settled, the number settled, then I can work on the forms, and then I can send it out to my customers. And I've already been asked by someone who hasn't been part of my farm share if they can join it. And I'd like to get back to them as soon as I can, but there's all this number crunching I have to get through first. So that's just the nature of the beast. I'm sure other people, they might have a computer program that does it for them, or they might just come up with a raw number out of thin air. But anyways, this is what I'm doing. I hope it's educational for you. If you have a small business, I'm sure you look at all your expenses and all your different streams of revenue and try to make things match so that you can continue doing what you're doing. Because if you're just losing money, your business is not going to last very long, or it's just going to be a hobby, and a hobby is not really sustainable. But I appreciate you watching, appreciate you learning. Good luck in what you're doing. Good luck on hopefully ordering your seed right now and making your plans for your own gardens, or looking at what farmers are around you that can feed you. And that's what we do, is we feed people. And as the t-shirt used to say, farmers feed cities. And I think it's a little more than that. Farmers feed everyone, because everyone needs at least 3 square meals a day. Thanks for watching. And remember, finish your vegetables, buy something local, and be good to each other. We'll see you next video.